Hey everybody, and welcome to another RCT2 review. We are continuing our head-to-head 10 review series as we reach round number 5, so we have 3 more matchups to go before we head into the finals, and this is part 1 of the first matchup. This is the Hurricanes, Ghirardelli's Dream. This is, for all intents and purposes, a Splitvision solo, 80% share, with Terry Inferno and Ballpitwarrior contributing 10% each. So, as you may recognize already, and from the name, this is a map centered around San Francisco, sort of a dreamlike picturing of San Francisco. So all the icons are kind of compressed a little closer together, and it's allows kind of the coasters to go everywhere around the city and all of the areas of the map. So there's some really interesting things that are done with this park, just some new approaches to landscaping and roadways and things like that. So let's get into it. You can probably tell it's bogging down the computer a little bit because all of these roadways here are actually custom tracked rides. So we see here Splitvision streets, and the landscape here, which you'll notice is a heck of a lot smoother than most RCT landscaping. Click on this, you'll see that this is shallow sloped landscaping. So these are actually ride vehicles that are just stacked up close to each other, that's giving us this smooth approach to the landscaping. So a really interesting take. It does end up coming out a little glitchy, you can see here, and I am on OpenGL, which tends to limit the glitchiness a little bit, but it's definitely a risk to try something like this, and I think it's cool to see this kind of just interesting attempts at things. I'm not sure if it's going to catch on, but I think it's kind of neat to see that attempt being made. So we're going to come in here across the Golden Gate Bridge, which we get just a little bit of. I almost wish we would have gotten one of those kind of iconic towers there, but map size being what it is, the requirements kind of limit that somewhat. But we come into a cute little town here. You'll notice just straight off the bat, the scale of all of the buildings is a lot smaller, almost kind of this like model-like state. But it ends up with these kind of cute little vignettes, like this little swan pond here, and the this zoo here with the bison, or I guess pasture, not necessarily a zoo, but these people are in here looking like they're gonna get to pet those bisons, which sounds nice. So we've got some pretty nice little architecture bits and pieces here. I really like this one. And then all this overlooking the cliffs. Very nice cliff work here as well, also utilizing that moving water that we've seen earlier in the contest, so I think that was quite nice. Let's jump over into Ghirardelli Square, since this is sort of the icon of the map, or at least the namesake anyways. So we have our first coaster here. So this is the Chocolate Dipper, working around a kind of mock-up of the Ghirardelli Square and the big Ghirardelli sign that's pretty iconic in real San Francisco. So this coaster is nice to see a regular wooden coaster as opposed to the RMCs that we've been seeing. Meanders around a little bit, wraps around the tower up here. This is Colt Tower that it goes around. I like the chaser lights up the lift hill. The signage is nice as well. It's a little bit meandery through the whole thing. It doesn't necessarily interact quite as well with the area as I would maybe, or at least as cleanly with the area perhaps, but I do like the way that it kind of intertwines through all of the different parts and pieces. While we wait on the coaster here going up, we can see this little go-kart track that we'll see going all around. So these are the candy carts. The way to tie it back into our tweet theme. So for all intents and purposes, this is kind of like a big out and back coaster. A little bit of pacing issues, but not too bad overall. But like I said, it's kind of nice to see a more traditional wooden coaster. We've seen a couple of them lately in some of the last matches, but when we're seeing as heavy as we are with the Giga Coaster and the RMC Coaster, which rightfully so, they've got the new pieces, it's always nice to see more traditional. So that's the main coaster here, but we get into the square and the wharf here, which I think the wharf is maybe my favorite part of the whole map. Nice textures throughout all the kind of nice buildings here, and I love the carousel. This is a really nicely done carousel. I love the top on it. It's neat to see how all of these parts and pieces have been done, since there's a lot of different ways to do these carousel tops now that you can do the theming all with them. for the custom rides, and I think it's looking very nice. We have our sea lions out here on the pier. Here's a Pier 39 as well. Spin around, get a better look at those sea lions there. I've been to San Francisco once, by the way, so my expertise here is somewhat limited, I would say. Here's the go-karts heading out onto the main roads, and we'll see them go kind of all around. One of the cool areas that they go down is Lombard Street right here. The well-known, very steep, windy road down the hillside. Love these buildings too, just very good architecture in the smaller scale. I find it's very hard to do that smaller scale architecture. It can be a bit of a challenge sometimes, so I think that's done quite nicely for all of that. So I already mentioned Colt Tower here. We've got a pretty nice skyscraper going up here, as well as this drop tower here. So this is the Black Current drops, and you can see it going down. There's 3 of them on all 3 sides. Kind of neat. And then we also have this pretty cool canopy here, which is done with the solar panels, just using some invisible sections on the train. So this is the solar panel CTR, very nicely done. Yep, this coaster that's winding about called Caramel Drizzle. I think I need to reset this to get it to go. But nice to see a single rail suspended, especially using the these cars, because we really don't see this terribly often with the 4-seater cars. We've seen it, we saw it in the yards, which was kind of nice. That was using the vertical drop coaster, but same kind of concept here. Nice sports, a lot of good detail to them. You know, not necessarily realism per se, but this is, you know, kind of consider this a dream as the park has been described. So I feel like there's a lot of leeway there to kind of do what you want with the stuff. This one just kind of meanders around, but I think it's pleasant enough. Gives some movement in the map in some more static areas, so I think that helps overall. Up here we've got Chinatown, and we've got a couple different rides in here. We've got the Ferris wheel here with the Mandarin wheel. We've got this Hot Fudge Dragon, a little track ride that goes all around, and then we can pick up the Schwarzkopf coaster here called Raspberry Whirl. I think this is probably my favorite coaster on the map, so let's spin around and have a look at this. Nice use of the lattice track on here. So this is the mini coaster combined with, I think, the RMC single rail to do this. Could just do the Giga Coaster track, but I think this looks nice. Actually, no, this is the Giga Coaster track. It's got the new bits and pieces there, so quite nice. And diagonal brakes too, so good touch. Well, one of the fun things about this map is there's these little kind of far off views here, which I didn't necessarily get this initially. Thankfully, Splitvision posted a very nice kind of detail about all of the work that and the ideas that went into this park. So this is all meant to be fog around here, which is kind of well known within San Francisco. So we've got all of this kind of white fog rather than the black map edge. And when we face certain angles, we get these kind of little vignettes all looking at a far distance. We're already at a small scale, but now we're going even smaller. So this is Oracle Park in Covey Bay, here with the Giants Stadium as well. You might have seen earlier when I was talking the little tiny tram going through, which I think is fun. Here it comes. Yeah, little tiny one there. That's a fun detail. Turn the corner on this side, we get Alcatraz, so another famous landmark in the city. Turn to this side, beyond the Golden Gate, and we actually kind of continue that Golden Gate across to the road onto the other side into Marin County. This is actually a really nice one, I think, just because it does, of all the ones to kind of sell that, hey, this is some kind of thing off in the distance, I think this one does well, because you can kind of continue this with your eye from the bridge across to that road, so I think that's kind of nice. And then on this side we have a couple of the hillside and residential areas of the city. I'm not sure specifically what this one's meant to focus on, but I think it's a good little vignette of all of these buildings just on that smaller scale off in the distance. You got big tower here as well, which is nice. This is the Sutro tower as well. A couple more architectural elements on this section. You can see too, we haven't really picked up any of the trams as they've been going through so far, but they crisscross all over. We've got the track and the overhead wire. Now I know the cables in the San Francisco trams are under the ground, but I know this kind of sells it a little more as which way the tram is going, so you can see it a little better. Also have our diagonal disco, which is always nice. This is Mint Mania. And I think that is pretty much going to wrap us up on this one. There's a lot of little bits and pieces here, especially if you've been to San Francisco. You're probably going to get a lot more out of this because you can recognize some of the more well-known landmarks as well. I know some of them, but I think I would probably stand to learn a little bit more, perhaps. So nice little map, definitely one that takes some more risks, which you know, that's what head-to-head is about, is taking risks and trying new things. So I always appreciate that that kind of effort. So congrats to the Hurricanes team on this one. If you want to download this and take a look, which you should, I will provide a link to the download in the description of this video, as well as open RCT2, which you will need to view it. Coming up next is the opposing part for this match, and then we'll continue into match 2 and 3 to wrap up our round robin competition. So until next time, thank you all very much for watching, and have a great day. Bye now.